Hello and welcome to my video lecture on declaring variables and constants using PHP. You declare variables using the assignment operator, the equal sign, as you declare a variable and give it a value. So some simple examples, right? We've got our $count. So again, variables in PHP start with dollar signs. So we've got $count. We're using the assignment operator, which is a single equal sign. We're setting that equal to the value of 10, ending in a semicolon. So in that case, we have an integer literal. $list underscore price. So again, if you're declaring a variable and it really comprises two words, you want to use the underscore. You don't want to use camel notation or Pascal type notation. We want to keep everything lowercase. PHP and the Apache web server are case sensitive. We will find that keeping everything lowercase will help us when we're coding. Again, so we have list price, a single equal sign, and 9.50. And since this has a fractional component to it, this is going to be stored as a double value. First name, underscore Bob, surrounded by single quotation marks, is going to be a string. First name set equal to Bob enclosed in double quotes, again, is going to be a string. And we'll talk about why you would use single quotes and double quotes in a later lecture. And $ is valid, setting it equal to false without any quotes around it is going to set it equal to a Boolean literal. So setting product count equal to a variable count. So we previously have set up count to be equal to 10. So now we're going to have a second variable called product underscore count is going to be set equal to the value stored in count so that the product count will be equal to 10. Price equal to list price is going to do essentially the same thing. Name equal to first name is going to do the same thing. And new being set equal to is valid is going to do the same thing. So you can set variables equal to the value stored in other variables. I like to think about variables as being little mailboxes in memory. So we set aside a little area of memory and we are going to reference it as $count, and we are going to store a 10 in that little area in memory. Same thing with list price. These are going to be different sizes, right? So the integer is going to be the smallest. It's going to be fairly small. It's going to be big enough to hold a little over 2 billion, the number 2 billion. A little bit more than that, 2,147,000,000 something. And then list price, being a double, is going to be a larger mailbox in memory for all intents and purposes. Strings are fairly large. Each letter requires a certain number of bytes to store each letter, depending on your character set that you're using. So this is going to take up a lot of space in memory, so that's going to be a larger mailbox. Booleans are the smallest. We're only storing trues and falses, ons, offs, yes, no, in the case of false, 0. So this is going to be a very small mailbox in memory. And then these are going to be mailboxes that reference other mailboxes or the value that's stored in other mailboxes. So now we're going to have two mailboxes in memory, both that are going to contain the value 10. And that's going to be important later on. Some rules for creating variable names. Variable names, again, are case sensitive. So all of your variable names should be lowercase. Makes life a lot easier later. Variable names can contain letters, numbers, and underscores. Variable names can't contain special characters, right? So other than underscores, any other special characters can't be used in variable names. Variable names can't begin with a digit or two underscores. They really, for all intents and purposes, have to start off with a $. And variables can't use names that are reserved by PHP, such as other variable names like $this, which is reserved for use with objects. And that kind of leaves constants. So a constant is something that can't be changed. Once it's declared, you can't change it. Other variable values or other values that are stored in variables can be updated using your code, but constants cannot. We use the define, essentially a define function that's going to define. You open up parentheses, you give it a name. It is very common practice to make your any constants all uppercase. In this way, if all of your other variables are lowercase, anything that's uppercase, if used properly, would be considered a constant. But again, it's only when you use define will anything be a constant. But like I said, you should always make them all uppercase. So max quantity would be 100. We would define an uppercase pi as the beginnings, at least, of the pi, and we could define the constant called male, all uppercase, and put the value m, lowercase m, in there. So those are different ways of defining. So we have variables, we have constants, and we have naming conventions associated with both. So that is the end of my video lecture on setting up your PHP variables and assigning values to them.